Good afternoon, friends. This is Dr. John Michael Salvato, your organic living and peak performance coach, and it's day 34 in our 200-day Mindshift mastery program. Today's topic, today's Mindshift, was to really take a good look at what it is that we do and say and think on a daily basis and check for integrity. Excuse me. I'm sorry. That'll teach me to try and drink coffee real fast before we start. When we drink, when we drink, we make mistakes. When we bring integrity to the moment, that means that we're bringing authenticity because our actions, our words, our thoughts are consistent with, integrated with, if you will, our core belief system. The word integrity comes from the Latin word integritas. And so the idea of being fully integrated, of being consistent across the board in all of those aspects of our lives. We talked about the 6 dimensions of wellness. When you act with integrity, then everything is in balance, everything is consistent. And so there have been times that I've seen in the entrepreneurial movement, I've seen people who have seemed to lack integrity. And I talk about that on the blog post and really encourage you to take a look at that. Folks who we might say, oh, well, what they did when they left that company and went to the next company lacked integrity, when in fact, upon closer examination of those particular individuals who I gave pretend names to, but those individuals actually had integrity when they left because they were chasing the almighty dollar, because they were made backroom deals, and they went from an organic living company, they went to a skincare company that offered them, $5,000 to $10,000, depending on the individual, in monthly secret bonuses to move their group over to that other company. That company, in turn, then got in trouble with the FTC for doing those sorts of things. But I want you to understand, when we look at that example, that was a great example of where so many people in their group said, oh wow, they just had no integrity when they were with the when they made that move to the skincare company. No, that's when they were finally acting with integrity, because their actions were motivated by money, not by concern for other people, not by servant leadership. And so that was the only thing that they did have integrity in their lives. When they were with the organic living company and they pretended to care about toxins in their homes, pretended to care about people poisoning themselves with toxic ingredients, that's what lacked integrity, because they really didn't care about those things. They just cared about the money they were making because they got backroom deals from that company as well. So when we look at our lives, this isn't about pointing fingers and placing blame. This is about taking inventory of what's going on in our day-to-day life and making the decision that what we do has to come from a place of integrity. Those who've watched my career know that when I first made the decision to come out of retirement, I looked at several companies, and we told those companies we would give them 90 days to give them a test run so that we could get a feel for their products, we can get a feel for the management, we can get a feel for the leadership. And there were times when I was with, for example, a company called Wake Up Now, where the money was really rolling in, but where I started to recognize that company wasn't delivering their products in a timely manner. And that was a red flag that there were financial problems. And so I had a choice. I could continue to receive those checks. And P.S., those checks came at a time when I was doing oral chemo, when we really needed that extra money. But I could continue to receive those checks and continue to pay my bills, or I could act with integrity. And integrity for me is about servant leadership. It's about making sure that my actions are consistent with my core values. And my core values compelled me to let my organization and every organization else that was out there that wasn't part of my organization know that I think there's some financial issues with that company. So in September of that year, I let everybody know that these were red flags, and that in my 3 years in the industry at that time, or 34 years, I recognized this as a warning sign. And sure enough, in October, the company stopped paying commissions, and in November, that company was out of business. So there have been times in my life when I've had to walk away from paychecks, and that hurts. When the income, my sole source of income, suddenly went from $26,000 a month to nothing because I refused to compromise on what matters most. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about living with integrity. But it doesn't just apply to your business; it applies to relationships. When we're involved with people on a daily basis, whether that's in business or that's in any other area, and we recognize that what those people are about is not consistent with our core values. That's the time that you say it's time for me to move on. Our paths, which may have been together for a period of time and converged, have now gone in different directions, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that we throw away those people. It doesn't mean that we abandon those people or consider those people bad people. It simply means that their path is not ours, their path isn't consistent with ours, and we move on. So that's what we talk about with integrity, and that means taking a careful look at everything that you do. From a perspective as a counselor, as a pastoral counselor, as a community leader, as a business mentor, and a coach. When folks come to me with challenges in every aspect of their lives, all of those 6 dimensions of wellness, or at least 5 out of the 6. If their finances are not where they want them to be, chances are there's an inconsistency in the integrity of their 6 dimensions of wellness, the wholeness, the integration of those 6 dimensions. So we start to look at those different dimensions, and we explore where those inconsistencies might be. It's not about pointing fingers. It's not about placing blame. It's about recognizing where the imbalance is and then fixing that imbalance, restoring our lives to what we call homeostasis. So when somebody's involved in a company and that company's core values are not consistent with your core values, then it's time to move on. I've had friends who've been involved with companies, one of the major skincare companies out there, where there was lots of backbiting, always this little, that they teased and said it's because the company was predominantly women that there was always some infighting. I don't believe that it had anything to do with women. I actually think that the problem in that particular company was the men that were running that company from the Tupperware Corporation, and that company, those men didn't care about those women who were in that other company because they considered that other company to be secondary. We own this subsidiary of beauty products and skincare products, and so we have to tolerate these women, as though they were somehow the redheaded stepchildren of Mary Kay. And so we see those sorts of inconsistencies, and these women were frustrated because they brought their very best of themselves to the marketplace. They were doing the home parties. They were going out. One of my friends was going out to schools, and I'd gone with her on several occasions to schools and churches and hospitals, and would do day-long spa treatments as a way of giving back to their community for free for the nurses and for the teachers and for the people in these businesses. They were doing all the right things, but they just couldn't seem to get their business to generate the kind of income that they knew it should be. Well, the reason for that was because their business lacked the integrity with their core values. And once we spent some time looking for what it is that really lit their fire, what it is that really excited them. And it wasn't about skincare, it was about empowering women. So we helped them find a business where they could empower women with a compensation plan and management team and product line that was consistent with their core values, and suddenly these women's incomes started to increase and started to show signs of prosperity and abundance. It's because the integrity was backing what they were doing. You can't fake integrity. That's why I'm against the idea of fake it till you make it. Because when you're faking it, that means you're operating outside of integrity. You're operating outside of the realm of consistency with who and what you're all about. And so we've seen time and time again that those who try to do this, try to find a shortcut, consistently lose momentum. They lose their business. They lose their income. And then they have to jump on to the next deal and the next deal and the next deal. But those who say, hey, I'm just going to, I'm going to do my business. Maybe it doesn't mean leaving a company. Maybe it just means changing what you're doing. I was with a company where I earned my first 6 and 7 figure income, but the vice president of that company had this thing about the 3 foot rule, and his idea was you just go out and you give business cards and flyers and whatever, and start conversations with everybody who comes within 3 feet of you. Now, for my personal core values, that's called pushy salesmanship, and that's not who I am. I don't walk up to complete strangers and say, "Hey, would you like to make some extra money?" That's just ridiculous. It's not part of who I am. It worked for him. It worked for my friend. We remained friends for 20 some years, but it wasn't consistent with who I was. But I tried it initially because I was a 19-year-old kid when I started working with them, and I didn't know any better. I like to tell people this story of when I did my first network marketing meeting. I was 7 years old. My parents had an Amway presentation at their home, and all of us kids were sent to bed early. Well, it was way too early for me, and so at 7, I snuck down from the top of the stairs, and I peeked over into the living room and watched with complete fascination this gentleman in a suit who was drawing circles. Now, at the time, we didn't have whiteboards. We had these big, giant newsprint pads. And so he was drawing circles and explaining the compensation plan. Well, the next morning, my dad was trying to explain that to the lady that lived across the street, who had also been there but didn't understand that she had no business acumen, and she was really trying to get her arms around this. And my dad's trying to explain it, but he was missing some of the most important points, and he didn't quite get it either. And I said, no, that's not what he said. This is what he said. And I took the tablet of paper, the little tablet of paper, and the pen that my dad had, and I started drawing the circles and explaining how the comp plan worked. And my dad just sat there and said, "Wait a minute, I got to call the guy Mike." And so he called Mike, his sponsor, and said, "I got to tell you, my son's over here trying to explain what you explained last night, and I'm not sure if he's explaining it right, but I think he might be." And he put me on the phone with Mike, and Mike asked me what I was saying, and I explained it. And Mike said, "I'm coming over there tonight." And that night, Mike came over, and I did the Amway presentation for my parents' guests, and Mike said every night thereafter, whenever they would have presentations, he would call me he would do the whole rest of the presentation, and I came to the board and drew on the tablet the circles to explain the compensation plan. And that's when I got the network marketing bug, and that's when I would have probably started my career at the age of 7, and who knows where I would have been with that company, except that even at the age of 7, there was a part of me that understood what my core values were. And the thing that I could not get my arms around was the instruction from Mike, which may or may not have come from the company. I mean, I have great respect for Amway. I'll say that right now. They and the Orlando Magic just gave $500,000 to the Orlando Victims Relief Fund for Saturday's shooting. Definitely, love and appreciate Rich DeVos and his family. But somebody along the line said, "Don't tell your guests what they're coming to your house for. Don't tell them it's an Amway meeting. Don't tell them it's a business presentation." And that was inconsistent with my core values. And so I went on with my childhood, and I didn't get back involved in network marketing until my friend Mark Hughes started Herbalife and asked me to take a look at what they were doing. So what I'm trying to say is that when your business practices, your personal relationships, your financial relationships, your spiritual relationships are consistent with your core values, then things work out. And they work out and pick up momentum, and they fall into place the way that they should. So this is really about simplifying your life. This is really about just saying, this is who I am, and I let go of any belief that I have to compromise on who I am in order to succeed. Because when we compromise, when we say, okay, I don't think it's right to have to bug people, I don't think it's right to chase people, I don't feel good inviting people to my house and not telling them what they're coming for, but I'm going to do it because my upline told me, I promise you it's not going to work long term. You're going to lose friends, you're going to lose credibility in the marketplace, you're going to lose sleep because you will have acted in a way is not becoming for you. So that's what we mean when we say, bringing integrity to what we do. And there's, you'll understand in the days to come how that builds on, or how the things that we share in future mind shifts begin to build on that becoming okay, giving yourself, this is what it's really about, giving yourself permission to integrate your business with your core values, your relationships with your core values, your spirituality with your core values, and having no need for apology for who and what you're all about. Because your path is your path, and it's an authentic path, and it's a path that's worthy of respect. It's a path that's worthy of admiration, because it's your path. So that's what this is all about today. I thought it was really kind of cool that you know, at a time when I've heard repeatedly from some folks that I'm supposedly stealing their training materials, I'm stealing their concept, I'm stealing their people, that you go back, and I opened up Facebook today, and they have that little thing that pops up that says, you know, 2 years ago today, or 3 years ago today, or 1 year ago today, I think it rotates, but 2 years ago today, I was talking about integrity. Because this 200-day Mindshift program is something that I've done, I told you guys, for 15 years now, and that I've done on social media now for a couple years, and it's part of who I am because it's consistent with my core values, and that's why I don't spend time responding to, you know, unfounded or baseless accusations, because those who know you will find evidence of who you are, what you've done. When I invite somebody to take a look at my business, excuse me, and I generally don't invite them to look at my business. If somebody tells me, hey, tell me about your business, one of the first things I tell them is, before I share who I am from my perspective, I want you to go to Google and do a search on my name, and allow all of the years that Google's been tracking me. I mean, you can find things on Google about me that will make you giggle for hours on end, things that might impress you, things that might make you scratch your head and say, wow, he's always been a radical nut job. All of those things are on Google, the good, the bad, and the ugly. You can find people on Google who took the time to write a Wikipedia entry on me that say that I'm a cult leader because of what I do with network marketing, and that I'm a shyster because I'm doing pyramid schemes because they don't believe network marketing is legitimate. You know, that's on there. I can't control what shows. Now you have to go back like 20 pages on Google to find that, but the reason you have to go back is because every single day I try to deliver value to the marketplace, and that's the key to making sure that your business succeeds. Because now when someone goes to Google and they look up Dr. F. John Michael Salvato, they're going to find out what I was doing. They could use the Wayback Machine. They could see, you know, web pages that I did while I was in the monastery. They can see pages that that I did about social justice issues. They can find out what I was doing in my business. They can find pictures of me with really embarrassing hairstyles, talking about network marketing and entrepreneurial efforts. They see it all. And so we live in an information age, and our life is out there, and people are going to know if who and what you're about today is consistent with your values. They're going to know, you know, there's political candidates out there that are running for president of the United States, and the reason why they're having such a difficult time is because people can go back and look at videos of things that these candidates said 6 months ago, and 2 years ago, and 4 years ago, and they can say, wait a minute, this person keeps contradicting themselves. They're not being honest. They're not bringing integrity to this race. You know, they seem to be saying whatever people want to hear them say. And that's why I'm grateful to be high-functioning autistic, because I have no filters. So what you hear me say is exactly the truth. It's my truth. It doesn't have to be your truth. But it's authentic, and it comes from my core values, because I don't know how to edit what I'm saying so that it fits what you want to hear. Because frankly, I don't care what you want to hear. I care about bringing me to the exchange, to the marketplace, to the transaction, so that what you hear from me is always going to be honestly what I bring, the contribution that I can make. Sometimes that contribution sucks. Sometimes that contribution is paltry, and barely adds anything to the conversation, but it's authentic. And you'll never have to question where you stand with me, because I'm going to tell you. You know, some people don't like that. They ask me what I think about their business, and when I tell them, then they get upset because I told them what I thought about their business. I didn't tell them what they want to hear, because that wouldn't be fair or honest, and that wouldn't honor who they are, because they took the time to ask me. So, wow, I talked for 20 minutes today. Good thing we don't have a big group here. So why don't you guys jump in and give me a chance to shut up for a minute?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes, you can hear me. I tuned in a little bit late because I was reading a message that was there that somebody had sent, and I was shocked by what I read in the message. When I tuned in today, you were actually just saying the line about integrity and about how people that don't have your core values and don't agree with what you live your life by, that they're not bad people. Wow, what I read on that message today, they are bad people. I mean, like you were saying, don't throw them out of your lives, and they're gone.
No, let me interrupt for a second, because
yeah,
I don't want you to misunderstand that. What I was saying was, I truly believe that there's a difference between people and their behavior. And when I say don't throw them away, I'm saying don't discard the person, but certainly when somebody is toxic, like that conversation we were having, when somebody is pathological and potentially dangerous, like that individual that we were discussing, then certainly get them out of your life. Get them, I insist on blocking people like that, and they're blocked. On keeping them out of my life and keeping myself and my loved ones out of harm's way. And I immediately went back to Facebook with that particular individual after seeing her use a picture of her child carrying a gun to threaten another person by private message, and that other person only shared that with me because she wanted to know whether she should go to the authorities, and she did. But I immediately went back to Facebook and eliminated every connection to those people. Anytime that I recommended their business, anytime that I applauded them for the people that I thought they were. And I didn't do it because I'm petty or childish and wanted to get back at them. I did it because I don't want to put anybody else in harm's way. And I think any connection, any contact with that individual is a dangerous connection, because they clearly have an issue, whether the issue is alcohol abuse, drug abuse, or psychotic behavior in general. I don't know, but it's none of my business. All my business is to protect the people that are entrusted to my care. So I'm definitely, and so good people engage sometime in bad behavior. Good people sometimes become known by their behavior, in which case, we say that person's a bad person because of what they did, or their business partner who insists on lying that I'm stealing some of their training, when their training is nothing more than training that's been plagiarized from dozens of other sources, that's outdated, and that I contributed to in the very beginning. Again, we come back to that idea that the internet leaves clues and success leaves clues, and I started the very first social network in the world, period. People can look that up. It was my free office. We were around before Facebook. We were the first enterprise social network, before Excite, before Friendster, or any of those other MySpace, any of those other deals. So when I say that I have a little bit of qualification to be able to teach how social media works, there's a foundation for that. So yeah, I'm not saying that those people are should be part of your life. You shouldn't throw them out of your life. I'm just saying that essentially all of us, we either have to believe that all people are good in nature, and when they behave badly, that's the aberration. That's where they're off course. There's something psychotic, something sick, something maladjusted about them that they're choosing to do in their lives. But at the core, they're the same people that we are. They've just allowed drug addiction or alcoholism or their past criminal behavior or whatever to get in the way of living the life that they were called to live. So that's kind of, I probably just didn't do a good
Yeah,
job of explaining
no,
it.
I tuned in late because I was reading all of that, so I didn't have time to digest it quickly. So I did miss the first 5 minutes, and that's why when I tuned in and you were saying don't throw them out of your lives, I was like, no, they're I couldn't get around that part. I do totally understand about business and about integrity in business because, as you just said, your reputation is on Google for the rest of your life. Fortunately, mine is not there yet, but your history for the rest of your life will be there. So, as well as your customers, you want your customers to be able to trust you, to know who you are, and know that your products are good. So, I do totally understand the business side, but it was just the personal friendship sides there that
Yeah.
confused me.
Yeah, no, those people are out of my life as well, and permanently so. I always like to say I know that people change, and if I were, if that weren't a part of who I was, then I wouldn't be back with the company that I'm with because 21 years ago, I was with the company that I'm with now, and that company's core values weren't consistent with mine. Yes, they had toxin-free products back then. We had about 40 products back then. Yes, their compensation plan was a great comp plan, but they were totally against doing business online, and I knew that doing business online was the future. And I was terminated for doing business online. So if I judged them today based on how they behaved back then, and they're far from like caught up to the 21st century now, they're catching up because there's a learning curve there. And but if I had judged the owner of that company back his behavior back then to now, I would have never gotten involved again. But I knew that some people do change, and that we have to make a decision in our lives whether we let them back in or not. It's just that his behavior back then wasn't wasn't threatening. It was financially devastating for me, but it didn't put me in danger. It didn't put anybody else in danger. And so, yes, I made a decision to bring him back in. These individuals we're talking about with their unscrupulous behavior and using children as a means of threatening people, that's psychotic, dangerous behavior. Those kind of people will never be back a part of my life again. I don't care how much they say they change. I don't care how much they claim to be new people or misunderstood or have made mistakes. That's great. So you've made mistakes, you learn from your mistakes, fantastic. Do well, go on your way, and may the universe keep you far, far, far away from me. There's an old Irish expression to that effect, and I can't remember it. It's an old Gaelic expression that says, "May the Lord bless you and keep you, and put 3,000 miles between us," something along those lines. And I think there's great wisdom in that with those kind of people. So, Jen, are you at a place where you can talk?
I am. It might get a little noisy. The toddler has awoken, but integrity-wise, I think that's one of the reasons I left, and honestly didn't do very well with the company I was with either time, because this was my boomerang time, the second go round, and it's just like being told to do what wasn't working, do it 100 more times. It's like, but it feels icky. When I kept telling them, it's like, it feels gross to me to be doing this. And they're like, it's okay, the more you do it, the better you'll feel about it. And it's like, wait, what? it was just that reaffirmation of, I don't like this, but you're telling me to keep doing it. I don't get that. It didn't make sense to me. And so it's like, this isn't who I am. And my mom even said, she confirmed it with me just talking to me on the phone the other day. She's like, do you realize you're not that person that goes up to people and say, hey, here's a coupon. Hey, here's a coupon. No, I don't make eye contact with 98% of the human beings in this world. Why would I go up to you randomly and hand you something? It was so against who I am as a person. It made no sense whatsoever. And I love the company, I love the people, I love the products, but being told to do what's not working but quadruple your effort. No. It totally went against everything that was me. So yeah, that's just where I'm at with that.
Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, when I was in the days, my early days of my career, when I was with Herbalife, you know, like I said, the vice president of the company had some very specific ways. There were some tremendous things I learned from him, and some tremendous techniques I picked up from him, and things like feel, felt, found, that are just wonderful strategies for building relationships and building businesses. But then there were other things that he did that just weren't part of who I was, and that handing out flyers to somebody, that kind of being pushy to somebody. A classic example would be to walk up to somebody who was overweight and say, you know, I used to be fat. Let me tell you how I lost weight. I'm sorry, that I just find that disrespectful. I wore a button that said lose weight now, ask me how. If somebody wanted to know how I lost weight, they would get in touch with me. They would initiate that conversation. The whole idea behind the button was to give them an escape hatch so that they didn't have to feel like they were forced into engagement. And so I get it, and I've seen that from that time, there have been so many variations on that approach that, you know, today we live in in an uncertain economy, and so the idea now, everybody's giving away coupons. They're giving away, oh, you know, here's a discount on your first order. There's another company that's giving away gift cards, and you know, can spend $50 on your first $150 order. Whatever the case may be, you know, for some people that's just not who we are, and that's not what attracted us in the first. And that's where it really comes down to. You got to look at what attracted you to the relationships, to the businesses, to the ventures, to the churches, to the organizations that you're part of, and then take a look, because we're all individuals. We're all, you know, sort of. What's the word that Darwin used? Gosh, I'm having a mental block today. You know, we're all evolving on our own paces, at on our own path, and so who an organization was 5 years ago might not be who they are today. Who our sales team was may not be where we are today, and that's why I tell people, don't become married to your upline sponsors, because your sponsors are on a journey just like you. Learn from them what you can learn, as I did from Larry Thompson. Learn what you can learn, take what you can take of value, and let go of the stuff that's no longer of value. And when the time comes to move on, move on. Nobody gets crazy when a friend comes to you and says, "Oh, I'm changing jobs. You know, I just left, you know, IBM. I'm going to work for Motorola." It's not the end of the world. It's not scandalous. But do that with network marketing and try and go from beauty control to Jeunesse, or to from you know, from Jeunesse to an organic living company or something, and all of a sudden it's the end of the world, because, oh my God, how could you do that? And now you have you know, shiny ball syndrome. You're a program jumper. You know, no, you just made a decision, a business decision, that you're moving on. And today, a good friend of mine, Mo, was talking about how that happened to him in his business in network marketing. He moved from a place where network marketing no longer made sense to him, where selling products for 3 to 5 times more than the product is worth wasn't a good business model anymore, because the internet changed everything. Because now people can go, you could do all the work. You know, I have friends who were making 6 and 7 figures with Mona V, teaching people the benefit of wolfberry, and teaching the people the benefit of acai berry and all of these other superfruits. And then they did all the work, and a few years later, Mott's Apple Juice Company started creating acai berry juice and some of these other superfruit juices. Now V8 has some superfruit juices. So they went from doing all of the work and selling their product for $40 a bottle, and now we can go to the grocery store and pick up those same exact juices for $5 a bottle. So the network marketers did the work. They educated the marketplace. They held webinars. They did everything else. So for me personally, the reason I walked away from network marketing was because it no longer made sense for me to do all of the work and then have other companies come up. I see my friends that are in beauty control, my friends who are in Mary Kay, really investing lots of time and effort into doing education about particular ingredients that help reduce the signs of aging, that help clear up people's skin, that help do all of these wonderful things. And every single time a new product is released by Beauty Control or released by Mary Kay or whatever the skincare company might be, within 6 to 8 weeks, you turn on the television at night and L'Oreal Skincare has got a product that does the same thing, or Neutrogena has a product, or Clinique has a product, and they do the same exact thing. That's not a coincidence. There are only, in the United States, there's only 6 companies who manufacture all of the skincare products for the entire United States. You know, there's only 8 companies that manufacture all of the nutrition products for all of the United States. So at the end of the day, you know, the one company does all the work, their people do all the education, and then somebody else comes along from mainstream USA, and they're selling the product at your grocery store for a third of the price. So it was no longer, you know, for me, it was time to move on. And I love and appreciate the network marketing industry? Yes, I will spend the rest of my career helping people, supporting people, educating people in that field, because it gave so much to me, and it's my commitment, my promise to my mentor that I would give back. But is it an industry that I'm going to stay a part of in terms of building a business? No, I moved on. I moved beyond network marketing to something that fits my lifestyle, my journey, where I am on my path. So I agree with you 100% there. And you know, we just have to start to treat our businesses and the entrepreneurial movement the way that we would treat careers anywhere else. And when the time comes that you're no longer happy, or you no longer fit in the company that you're with, and you have a 9-to-5 job, you say, I'm moving on. You start looking for the right fit, you interview, and you move on. And you don't have to apologize for it. And yes, when you move on from, you know, you leave Motorola and you go to work for IBM, or you leave Motorola, you go to work for Apple, you know, there are friends that you're going to leave behind in your old job. And hopefully, if they're real friends, you stay in touch. If they were just business acquaintances, you move on. And you can still appreciate what they brought to your life for that period of time. That all of this, everything we've talked about today, is living with integrity. It's having no need to apologize for who and what you are. It's making sure that whatever you're doing at any given point in time is in balance with and consistent with your core values. And when you do that, everything in your life becomes so much easier. I can promise you this, that I wouldn't be able to be doing these daily sessions, especially doing them when only 2 or 3 people are even bothering to use them. I wouldn't be able to do that if this wasn't consistent with my core values, especially not at a time when I'm absolutely struggling on a daily basis to be able to do this, to be able to build my business, to be able to post about anything other than the grief and the anger and the frustration that I feel over what happened on Saturday night, Sunday morning in Orlando. I mean, I really am struggling on a daily basis to be able to function, to be able to function, period. I'm not going to lie. But because this process, this program, this movement, if you will, is a part of who I am, because there's integrity there, it's a part of me, and so it becomes just one more thing that I bring to the world, one more extension of myself, one more way of giving back. So I can show up here. It doesn't always mean that I'll be effective. It doesn't always mean that I'll be very focused, as I apologize for the last 2 or 3 days, because I know that my focus is off. I know that that what I'm bringing isn't the kind of quality I brought in past days, and we could tell that by the fact that it takes me forever to communicate it. You know, normally I focus and I try to be concise, but it's just really hard to focus. It's really hard to bring my attention fully to this moment, when a part of my heart is ripped wide open, when my life feels unstable right now because there's so much uncertainty and hurt and pain, and when I know that I haven't even allowed myself to really have the quote unquote the cry, you know, the big cry, the meltdown. But I appreciate you guys being here every single day. I appreciate your participation, and my commitment to you remains intact because there's integrity there. So that's what I wish for each of you in your lives. You too certainly bring that to the table every single day. Excuse me. And many of those who watch this on the recording, who for whatever reason choose not to participate in the in the discussions, and that's that's your choice. And I made the decision yesterday that as disgusted as I was yesterday by people not participating, that was really just a need to express anger that had nothing to do with this group. It had to do with Saturday, Sunday night, Sunday morning. And so I just need to say that I'm sorry. And if you're choosing not to participate, not to use the blog, not to use the group, for whatever reason, that is your choice, and I have to respect that choice. You know, we're still glad you're here. We still value your participation or lack of participation in the group, but I especially value those who are participating, and ask you guys in a very special way, if I can do so without providing any further details. Please, keep Amanda Sykes in your thoughts and prayers, in your heart. Because she's going through a very difficult time right now, and I can't say anything more about that, but to express and convey, as her husband asked me to do this morning, her affection and appreciation for each and every one of you. So please do that, and we will see you guys tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern Time for Inner Alchemy as we wrap up the week. And we will talk more about the program and how we do this. And I'm going to get a sense from you guys that will be on the Blab Network tomorrow. So I hope that you guys will be able to be there. And then we will talk next week about going forward. I want to tweak the times and make sure that these are good times for you guys, especially since it's it's the two of you that are here. So when we go offline, when I go end this broadcast, stick around if you would for 1 minute. And I'm going to get a little bit of feedback from you guys. For everybody else, thank you. Stay in the moment. Be grateful for what you've got. Recognize that there's an opportunity that exists in this moment to express your love and appreciation for those around you that you might not have in the next moment. And always remember the best is yet to come.